Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Clark, for having me on your platform. I truly, truly appreciate it. My name is Herman Dalsey. I'm owner and CEO of Bellastone Enterprises. This company is about 10 years old, rebranded it about 3 years ago. To my first daughter, her name is Bella Sloan, so I named it after her. And we focus on credit, educating our clients on credit, credit repair, business funding, and also we also invest in real estate. So that's what falls under the umbrella of Bellastone Enterprises for today. And today's presentation, I wanted to just talk a little bit and give some education and some foundational information on what credit is, how it's calculated, and why it's super, super important. So again, thank you guys for having me today.
All right, so we could move into the Q&A session. Devana, if you'd like to ask your question first, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning,
well, how are you?
Good, good.
My first question to you is, what is an easy way to start, build, and repair credit?
Easy way to start, build, and repair credit. Okay, so first off, there has to be a credit analysis, right? So you have to see what's going on with your credit and what's wrong with it first. So we'll start with the easy stuff. Demographical information that some people don't know that credit bureaus look at. So if you look at your credit report, your name and your address, there's usually 10 different versions of it. So my name is Herman Dalsey Jr., right? So if there's times before I got educated on credit, it would say Herman Dalsey, then another name would say Herman Dole, another name would say Junior Dalsey. So it's all these aliases and AKAs on your credit report. You want to clean that off. The second thing you want to work on is the old addresses on your credit report. You want to show stability on your credit profile. So I've lived several places. My childhood address was on my credit report. When I moved from New York to Philadelphia, I moved about 3 times here when I moved out my parents' house and all that stuff, right? So I cleaned all that stuff off, all my old addresses off my credit report. Because stability, number one, is important. Number two, old addresses are associated to possible negative credit information on your credit report. So say, for instance, you had a collection or you had a charge off on your credit report. The address on that credit, that negative account could have been at a previous address you lived on. So you want to take that off your credit report. So there's one less factor that they can try to associate to you, right? So that's why it's important just to clean off demographical information off of your credit report. So that's just something really, really simple, right? The second thing is, well, let's look at your credit report now. Let's see what is negative. So I got charge-offs, I have collections, I have repos. We do an assessment and we look to see what's going on with your credit. In addition to that, that's the obvious stuff. What else we look at is, and what you should look at is closed accounts on your credit report that have negative payment history. Those also, it's not charged off, it's not a collection, but I had a card note, it had like 6 late payments on it while I had it, or I had a credit card while I had it. These were the late payments on it. Those you also want to dispute too, because your credit report tells a story, and there's certain things you don't want everybody to see that story about, right? So you want to dispute those negative items also. How to dispute those negative items? We can talk about that. And Mr. Clark, I know we didn't discuss this earlier, but I have some credit repair letters, do-it-yourself credit repair letters that I'm more than be happy to share with everybody that's part of the call, so you can work on your own credit also, because we can all do it ourselves. People that pay me to do their credit just don't have the time. So I'm more than happy to take their money. But with the credit repair letters, I'll definitely send them out to everybody. At the end of the call, I make sure Natalie or Mr. Clark has it. Nonetheless, after you do the assessment, when you look at your credit repair to try to fix it, there's no magic bullet. There's no secret sauce that we use. What credit repair companies use is something called Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. It is an actual federal laws and stipulations that is written that dictate what can and cannot be put on your credit report. For example, it was actually just updated not too long ago where medical collections cannot be put on your credit report. Why? Because it violates your HIPAA and it violates your privacy. So not speaking to you, of course, Miss Lewis, but say for instance, you went and you had to have a hysterectomy and you just couldn't afford the bill. It's 3,000 that's showing on your credit report. In addition to that, the name of the hospital, the name of the doctor, it literally says, gynecological services, or if you had cancer, right? It'll have real detailed information, and that is none of the business of anybody working at Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. So you would write a letter. Hey, Experian, this is a medical bill that is on my credit report, and per the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you're going to refer to the law. This violates my privacy and is detrimental to my credit report. Can you please remove it? And that's round one. Sometimes they take it off in round one, but we have 4 rounds of letters that we give you the option to send out for an example of something like that. Follow-up is super important in working on your credit. So if it doesn't come out round one, 2, or 3, you've got to get on the phone with them. Hey, I sent you a letter. Per the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you were supposed to remove it. I sent it certified mail, so I have proof that I sent it to you. I have proof that you received it. And I'm going to go to litigation if you're not going to remove this from my credit report. Scare them a little bit, right? It is time consuming to get on the phone calls with these credit repair agencies, because there's literally about 190 million people that are over 18 that are eligible to repair their credit. So it can be a long wait. But it's definitely all worth it in regards to an investment. Another tip, and that's just the collection portion of it, medical collection. Let's talk about another type of collection on your credit report. Collections where you, when it got the new iPhone, you didn't pay it off. AT&T sold the debt to a collection agency. Debt in this country is sold for about 10 to 20 cents on the dollar. So you got the $1,000 iPhone, you didn't pay it off. That piece of paper is worth $1,000. They sold it to a debt collection agency for $100. So when they call you and they say, "Hey, Ms. Lewis, you owe AT&T some money. We're a debt collection agency calling on behalf of AT&T. We're here to collect the $1,000 that you owe." Ms. Lewis says, "I don't have it." Well, okay. Well, would you like to be put on a monthly payment plan of $50 until it's paid off, and then we can settle it for $800? Mrs. Lewis is super excited. I'm saving $200, and it's over a monthly payment. I have to pay it up front. So that's how they get you, right? Remember, number one, they bought it for $100. So no matter what they settled it for, they're going to make their profit. Number two, you technically do not owe the debt. What do you mean I don't owe the debt? Well, who did you sign the contract with? You signed the contract with AT&T. In the United States, I cannot owe you money if we don't have a contract. Did you sign a contract with the collection agency? No, you did not. So you don't owe them any money. So in the credit repair letters that I'm going to send to you, they're going to have to verify that the debt belongs to you. If they cannot verify that the debt belongs to you with a contract, a phone call recording conversation, or a transcript that you and them are in contract, the credit bureaus have to remove it from your credit report. All right, so that's another way we get collections off of a credit report. And finally, charge-offs. Those are a lot harder to get off of credit reports. The Fair Credit Reporting Act states that your credit report has to be 100% accurate, 100% verifiable. There cannot be any mistakes on your credit report. If there is, it has to be removed. So when I do an analysis of my credit report or my client's credit report, I look at a charge-off because they're super hard. So usually the information is accurate, but sometimes it isn't. So like you owe Capital One money, you never paid it off. It's on charge-off status, right? So one of the mistakes you can find is the balance. So TransUnion says I owe 800, Experian says I owe 500. That's a mistake right there. So I print out the credit report, I send it to the different credit report agencies. Hey, TransUnion, Experian says I owe 500 and you say I owe 800. Well, clearly there's a mistake. I don't owe that amount. You circle it, write a note next to it, and then you mail it to them, be like, per the Fair Credit Reporting Act, this has to be 100% accurate, and you clearly do not have this accurate. Can you please remove this from my credit report? And you send a letter to the other company too. So that's how we fight those type of things. So clean up your demographic information, clean up your your collections, the medical collections. We talked about other type of collections not on the debt, and we talked about charge-offs also. Now, remember when I said cleaning up your address in the beginning? You can call Credit One. You can write a letter to Capital One. Hey, Capital One, here's my ID. Here's my driver's license. You have this this debt associated to me. I don't know what that is. You have to prove that it belongs to me. And they're going to send you a letter with an address. They're going to send it to you because they're going to contact Capital One. Capital One's going to send you a letter saying, yeah, you owe this debt. Here's your address. Here's everything. Thank you, Capital One, for sending that evidence to me. Now I'm going to send that evidence to the credit bureaus, showing them my ID. Like, look, the addresses don't match. It can't possibly be mine. And that's another way, backdoor way we get charge-offs off your credit report. That was a very long answer to a simple question. I hope I answered it.
Great information.
Excellent.
Thank you. Just quickly before we move on to Kiwan, Marissa asked in regard to that question, what if you did sign with the debt collection?
So if you did sign with the debt collection, then you owe the money. There's no trick out of it. You have to pay it off. So when a collection agency calls you or get in contact with you, let's back up a little bit on how to handle that. Number one, when somebody calls you and says, hey, can I speak to Herman? May I ask who's speaking? This is such, they have to identify themselves. This is such and such calling in reference to collecting a debt. Okay, thank you for reaching out. Can you please not call me again? And any correspondence, can you please have it in writing? Thank you. You're doing this for several reasons. Number one, a law was written that debt collectors cannot harass you via phone calls. So the moment you tell them do not call you, they're recording the conversation. So there's evidence that I told you to put me on your do not call list. Number two, when you tell them to put everything in writing, that's super important also, because now there's paperwork that you have access to. Then they're going to say, okay, well, can we confirm your address? Because they have to confirm that it's you. That's why when they call and say, hey, can I please speak to Herman? There's no affirmation. I tell them, may I ask who's speaking? And then I'll confirm who I am, right? So I haven't proven who I was yet. Then they're going to say, okay, well, can we get your address? They're trying to prove who you are. No, if you know who I am and you're trying to reach this Herman, you have their address. So anything you need moving forward, just mail it to Herman at the address you have on file. But once you sign the contract, then they're able to dispute with you. I still fight them because it costs them money to respond to the credit bureaus and write letters saying, no, Herman does owe us this money. Because I'm not going to send one letter, I'm going to send 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. And it costs them money to do that. And sometimes it's not worth it to them. So still fight it with the letters that I'm sending you anyway.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Kiwan, you're up next. You could unmute yourself and ask your question.
Can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Go.
Okay. Good morning.
Yes.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Good. Good. What actions have the worst impact on your credit?
Late payments.
Late
payments take up, payment history takes up 35% of your credit score. It's the most important thing. The second most important thing is the amount of credit card debt that you're in. Your credit usage or credit utilization, that it's 30% of your credit. So just those two things make up 65% of your credit score. So those are the things you really need to pay attention to. On your credit bureau, if you look at your credit bureau is for the last 24 months. The last 24 months are the most important time period to anybody that's looking at your credit report. That gives a good gauge of what your life has been looking like. So remember, your credit report tells a story about you. Whether it's accurate or inaccurate, your credit report is not going to tell you like, hey, it's COVID and I couldn't pay the money, so it's not my fault, right? It's just going to see that you were late. They don't care. So they don't know if you're just being negligent. You just decided to go to Cancun instead of paying off the credit card, or you lost your job, or you're in medical distress. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it tells a story that you are not good with money. So your payment history is the most crucial part of your credit report. The older a late payment is, the higher your credit score goes. So your credit is organic, it's living. So when you first cut it, you got a late payment last month, your score is dropping significantly. As the late payment gets older, you'll see your scores gradually go higher and higher, because how they look at it is, well, he's been on time for 6 months, he's been on time for 12 months, 18 months, whatever happened then, that's not an issue anymore. So your credit gets better.
Gotcha.
All right. Maggie, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you, by the way.
No problem.
Those have all been fantastic tips. A lot of things that I didn't realize you would be able to dispute, but how do you actually get a copy of your credit report? And you said that some, the information differs. So do I have to get a report from each of the credit companies? Is it free? And how often should I be doing this?
Okay, so yes, you have access to your credit report for free. That's part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You can get one free copy of your credit report from all 3 credit bureaus at freecreditreport.com. freecreditreport.com. They'll give you access to one copy of it per year, but you should be checking your credit report all the time, right? So it's I tell people, any money you put into credit repair or monitoring your credit is an investment. It's not a bill. So you have to think about, if you have money paid for Netflix per month, then you have money to get access to your credit monitoring sites. The one that I recommend is Experian.com. I think it's like $24 a month, because it gives you all 3 credit reports updated every month. Experian actually updates every day, but the other 2 credit bureaus, it updates every 30 days, and that'll give you access to your full credit report. In addition to that, Credit Karma, there's a tip on how to get all 3 for free. If you sign up for Experian, you can just get your Experian credit score for free and your report. If you want to see all 3, you're gonna have to pay the $24 a month. So say for instance, I just have the $24 a month. So download Experian, the app, or go to the website and just get your Experian FICO scores, right? At least you'll know that your FICO score is the math in which that credit bureau dictates what your credit score is. Your FICO score is more important because 95% of the lenders in this country look at your FICO score. So that score is important. Credit Karma, I know people have a lot of bad things to say about Credit Karma because they don't use the FICO math system. They use something called Vantage 3.0. So the score is not the same. It could vary between 10 and 20 points, but you get for what you pay for. But at least you can see what's on your credit report. Your credit report information, the same thing that Experian has, Credit Karma has. And Credit Karma gives you TransUnion and your Equifax credit report. So you're getting all 3 credits for free. So that's another way to get all 3 for free and get it monitored every month. The benefit I like with Credit Karma is that it updates every Friday. So when I'm doing somebody's credit, I'm able to see if something come off week to week. So I really like it. So freecreditreport.com to get your all 3 credit reports. They'll mail it to you. Experian.com because it gives you your FICO score, and you can pay the $24.99 to see all 3, and it updates every 30 days. You can just sign up for Experian for free. It updates every day, and then you can download Credit Karma to get TransUnion and Equifax for free, and that updates every week.
Thank you. Okay, Corendis, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, Herman. I'm happy that you were able to come and give us this information already. I think you've probably answered a good part of my questions. I had 2. And I asked what was the information that can be disputed on your credit report, and you pretty much covered that. And my other question is there anything that cannot be disputed?
So anything can be disputed on your credit report. Now, the success rate of what can be disputed, that varies. So I challenge, and you guys also too, I challenge anything, any negative item on my credit report. That's what you should fight. What is extremely difficult to change and to dispute and to remove or to reverse is an open account. So if you had a car note, mortgage, credit card, whatever, right? If you were late on it last month or 2 months ago, it is very, very hard to reverse it. Why? Because you could only dispute that with the actual owner of the debt, right? So when you're repairing your credit, I'm not calling AT&T, I'm not calling Capital One or Nissan. I'm going to the credit bureau. So I'm going to a third party and I'm using the laws to finesse my way to get that fixed. So yeah, you can dispute the late payment, but only the person who owns the debt you're gonna be in their graces for them to reverse the 30-day late or to forgive it and remove it. So like certain of my clients, they go to the student loan doctor who's on Instagram and they were late on their student loans. So you can call the government, you can call who owns your student loan, be like, hey, I'd like to get this reversed. I was going through a hardship. What they would do is they'll put you on an auto pay. If you pay 6 to 8 months on time, we'll reverse the late payment. Only they have the power to do that. The credit bureau doesn't. It's very difficult for the credit bureau to reverse a late payment. The only time I've seen it have been successful with doing that is when I have evidence where somebody truly made a payment and the owner of the debt made a mistake and said they were late. So remember, your credit report has to be 100% accurate. So you have to send evidence to the credit bureau as, hey, the due date was the 5th. Here's my bank statement and evidence that I paid it on the 1st. And they put the 30-day late payment. Can you please rectify this? Circle it, write notes, mail it, certify, mail it, follow up with a phone call if they don't change it. No problem.
All right, Brianna, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for being with us. I wanted to know, is it possible to repair poor credit with outstanding debt? Like outstanding, like.
Absolutely. I am $80,000 in student loan debt and I have an 800 credit score. So absolutely, yes, you can have great credit, repair your credit, but also be in debt. There's different types of debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. The debt that hurts you on your credit report is credit card debt. When you have X amount of credit cards or whatever the limit is, and you are using more than 30% of that, the availability, your credit score takes a nasty hit. So like if you have $1,000 credit card and you're using more than $300 of it, that's more than 30%. If you're using 400, you'll see a nasty drop in your credit report. Once you pay it off the following month, you'll see it jump up. So because credit card debt is bad debt, personal credit card debt is bad debt. Number one, it's expensive. And usually personal credit card debt, you're using it for things that don't make you money. So you're buying a TV, Louis Vuitton bag, going on vacations, things that don't necessarily make you money. So I don't say all debt is bad debt. So I do also teach business credit. That's debt. So I'm probably 150 in business debt, but I leverage that money to make me money. So, but it's generating 10, 20,000 a month. So not all debt is bad debt. But credit card debt is detrimental to your credit score if you're not using it properly.
Thank you.
No problem.
Keisha, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, Herman. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Yes.
So my question is, how do I build credit if I have no credit and no one will give me a credit card or a loan?
Okay. So because we weren't exactly educated on credit, when you're a lot older and you absolutely need it, like you've never had a credit card, nothing, and you're going to ask the bank for 30,000 to buy a car, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Totally get it. So the good and the bad is that when I was at Temple University, right, and I'm aging myself. So they would have the credit card companies actually come to the campus, pass out T-shirts, give all you pens and free stuff, and sign up for it. You get a credit card. So that was my first credit card, and it was a $300 limit on the credit card. That credit card is 20 years old now, so it looks amazing on my credit report. So number one, time builds credit, right? Because 15% of your credit score is how old your credit is, right? So Herman, I don't have credit right now. Where do I start? Number one, let's start a free way first. There's a bunch of stuff I'm gonna tell you, so definitely write this stuff down. Number one is something called an authorized user or a trade line. One of the free ways to get it is ask a friend or family, hey, do you have a credit card that I could hop on? It's something called piggy banking or authorized user, where they put you on their credit card, they call up their credit card company, and they say, hey, I would like to add you, my friend, my cousin, whatever, to my credit card. They're going to give your social security number, your birthday, and your address and your name. That trade line or authorized user is going to show up on your credit report in 30 days. Only get on somebody's credit card that credit card has never had a late on it ever, and that credit card is a year, 2 or 3 old. The older, the better, right? And they're not maxing out the card. It's not more than 30% usage. So I have 10, 15, 20-year-old credit cards. When my brother turned 18 and he needed to build his credit, I called up my credit card company and I put him on it because he had no credit. So boom, his credit scores goes from 0 to 700 overnight, right? But that is an authorized user. It's not a primary line. Primary line means the line that belongs to him. Banks love to see lines that belong to you because they can see if you're piggybacking off of somebody else. So that solves the first problem because now he has credit score is great. But there's 2 factors. Your credit score is one thing, but what's on your credit report is another thing. So now that I got his credit score correct, then I went to another website called My Jewelers Club. My Jewelers Club. Another one is called New Coastal Direct. New Coastal Direct. These are web-based stores that actually help people build credit. So you purchase something off of their website, nothing more than $100, $50, whatever, the cheapest thing you could find. And they will post a credit card limit on your credit report of $5,000 each, right? And those are what? Primary lines. They belong to you. And that looks sexy on your credit report. You have a $5,000 credit. Somebody gave you a $5,000 credit card. That's awesome, right? So now you have 3 lines reporting to your credit report, right? That's great. Let the 2 $5,000 lines, let them season for about 6 months because we want to build age also, right? After they age, then one of the other strategies I recommend is credit unions. Credit unions have less restrictive underwriting guidelines than the major banks like Bank of America, Chase, and Amex. So you want to go there first. Banks in 2020 are relationship based. So whatever credit unions you have in your area, go and open a checking account there. 1 or 2 in your area. I like put $5 in it, $10, boom. And then you ask them for a credit card. Navy Federal is a great one. If you guys can get into that, you have a friend and family that's in the military, help them get you into that because you got like a 600 credit score, they're giving you a $5,000, $10,000 credit card. And they're a credit union too. So you open up a checking account, you put the money in, at least at these 2 places, they're gonna run your credit. They're gonna see your credit score is there. They're gonna see you have a couple of primary lines that are over 6 months old, and they're gonna start you off with your first real credit card. Probably start you off at $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, but they're gonna get you, they're gonna see the 2 $5,000 lines and they're gonna try to match it or be somewhere there. So these are some tips on how to start building your own personal credit profile. Every 4 to 6 months, ask your credit cards for a limit increase. That should be something that's in your calendar. So if you got that $1,000 credit card in 4 to 6 months, you're gonna ask them, hey, I like a credit limit increase. Ask for double always. When you ask for double, they might say no, but they might say yes. But if they say no, then you're gonna say, well, what's the best you can do for me? Oh, we can give you $1,700. Great, I'll take it. And you keep doing that. That's how I have $20,000, $30,000 credit cards because I've been doing that for the past 10 years. So those are some tips on how to start to build your personal credit profile.
Thank you. Dan, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, Herman. Let's see. What is credit consolidation and why should I do it? The pros and cons.
What is credit consolidation or consultation?
Yes.
Consolidation.
Consolidation.
Okay.
Yes.
Consolidation. So the benefit with consolidating your credit cards is for 2 reasons. Lower monthly payments, which then would be, say, put money in your pocket. So you're saving money, lower monthly payments. And in addition to that, the debt is probably less because there's no accruing interest being put on it. The cons of debt consolidation is that 9 times out of 10, the people that are trying to consolidate your debt, they're going to request you to close down your credit cards. And remember, a percentage of your credit score is how old your credit is. So say for instance, you have 5 credit cards, the interest rate is crazy, Herman, they're 20, 30%, it's ridiculous. making the minimum payments. The math is it's literally going to take me 15 years to pay it off. This consolidation agency is going to take me from $1,000 a month to $500 a month, and the $30,000 debt is going to shrink to $20,000 because there is an interest. That's in my best interest to do that, Herman. But also consider that the 3, 5, 6-year-old credit cards that you have, you're gonna close them, and your credit score is gonna drop because that time is not on your credit report any longer. You just have to make a decision to see what is more important. You can always restart credit. You're gonna pay down the debt. I'm rebuilding my credit. You just gave me some tips on how to start over, Herman. So it just depends on where you are in your life and what you need at this time.
Christina, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay. Hello. Thank you. You're
Good morning.
going over everything. I'm like, think of other questions, but you're answering them so clearly. Thank you so much.
No worries.
What is the ideal amount of credit cards to carry? When I go to stores, like my daughter works at a department store, she has to ask every customer, would you like to order, would you like to open blah, 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 credit card? And because you get 10% off today, you're purchasing $300 worth. What is the limit that we can have?
So there is no limit on how many credit cards you can have, right? Excuse me, real quick. Of course, when I wanted to show it to you, oh, here it is. So there's no limit to credit cards, right? So I have about a lot, right? So I have a lot. But
let me borrow some money, man. Let me borrow some money.
Credit is my thing, right? Credit is my thing. So I got a lot of credit cards. But what I recommend is having at minimum between 3 and 5 universal credit cards. So there's a difference between store credit cards and universal credit cards. So I recommend having universal credit cards that you can use anywhere, right? So I have an Old Navy credit card, right? But it's Visa branded and I can use it anywhere. I stay away from store credit cards. That's how they get you, because I can only use it there. That's not beneficial to me. So I have universal credit cards. So my Old Navy credit card, I like it. I get rewards for it. I use it anywhere. I get rewards. I use it for Facebook advertising, certain business reasons. About $100 to $200 a month I get in rewards to Old Navy. I give it to my wife. She buys clothes for the kids every single month. My universal card, I have an Amex. I use it up. I get points for that. I'm able to travel for free, right? So I prefer those type of credit cards that I can use everywhere because they have benefits to me also. So a minimum of 3 to 5. Why 3 to 5? That's what banks like to see, creditors like to see. She's been responsible with several different credit cards over X amount of time, and that looks really great. Here's another reason to do it. Remember, your age of your credit is important on your credit report. Now, your credit score fluctuates a lot. Why? Because you open accounts and you close them, such as a car note. So you pay in your car note, you've never been late on it, you close the car note. Guess what happens? Your credit's going to take a dip. Why? Because that 5 years is now gone off your credit report. Remember, that's 15% of your score. But when you pad your credit with credit cards, which technically never close, you are bracing your credit for different dips. People who are in their 50s and 60s and they paid off their house, nasty drop on their credit report. Why? Because a 30-year line of credit, a 30-year mortgage just closed. So that's a nasty hit. So padding your credit with lines that don't close is really, really good for your credit. So 3 to 5 minimum. Problem.
All right, Ren, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, Herman. Thank you so much. A lot of good information. So I have kind of a scenario. My husband lost his job about 2 years ago, and then I became unemployed about a year later. We have 2 children, and we maxed out his business credit card, for things like groceries, and then my 2 cards, we kind of been doing utilities and things. And now we got behind on utilities, and we have a credit company after us for credit card debt. So I have gotten another job, but we're still struggling just for day to day, and then trying to deal with all this other stuff. So I don't know where to go to fix this or where we start. We're just kind of in limbo.
Okay, so what it sounds like your best situation is if you're day to day, right, which is what a lot of Americans are in right now. And if you're making the minimum payment and you're a hiccup away from being under again, then maybe you should consider debt consolidation, right? Where that debt consolidation company will call everybody you owe money with, and on your behalf, they'll negotiate a better interest rate, better pricing, and then you pay one monthly payment to the debt consolidation company to work on that. Now, another way besides debt consolidation is if you have equity in your home. You take out the equity in your home. Hey, I'm 10, 15, 20,000 in debt. Let me use my home equity paid off. Why would I suggest something like that? Because the interest rate on your home is a lot cheaper than a credit card. Credit cards are 15, 20, 25%. Your interest rate on your home right now, it's probably 3, 4, 5, 6%. So you're saving a fortune there, and you're also keeping your credit card lines open, which remember also help with your credit. So that's two options on how to pay off that debt. And you figure out which number month to month makes more sense to you. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Here's another way you can make some money during a pandemic. So I have all these credit cards, right? Now, or again, if the credit cards are in good standing, yours are not right now, but in regards to the usage, right? So I have a credit card, say for instance, you use the home equity line and you pay off the $10,000 credit card. Hey, Herman, that card, I've never been late on it and it's 10 years old. I put my cards on my social media and I put it out there. Hey, I got a 10-year-old card, $10,000, never been late. I'll put you on it for $500 for 30 days. That's a side way that I make money, and you guys see how many cards that I have in here. All right, so that's another way I teach a lot of my clients on how to make side change during a pandemic. And every 30 days, 30, 45 days, I remove that person from the credit card and I have another client waiting. Credit cards usually have 3 to 4 spots available for authorized users, right? So you multiply 3 to 4 times 500 and the rest is history.
Great tips, thank you. And
no problem.
Lastly, before we do the Q&A from the chat, Jackie, you can unmute yourself and ask the last question.
Don't be shy, Jackie.
All right, well, I will ask for her. I don't know if she's in right now. So what are the most common mistakes in a client's credit repair history?
The most common mistakes in a client's credit repair history, credit report history. Again, the person's name, their address, their employment history also is on their credit report. Those are common mistakes. The start date of any debt on your credit report, because remember, there can be no mistakes. So if Experian says you started, the credit card was open on the 1st of January, but TransUnion said it's the 6th of January, that's a mistake. So that can be something you can dispute. The balance on your credit report is another common mistake that's on your credit report that you're able to dispute. And the type of debt that it is. So if you have a car note and it says credit card, because it tells you what debt it is, if it says credit card, no, that's a mistake. No, this is an installment loan. It's not a credit card. That's another mistake. Another final mistake is if a credit card is closed on your credit report, it'll say open or closed, but the monthly payment is still there. That is a mistake on your credit report because you can't have a monthly payment on a closed account.
Thank you. Okay.
No worries.
So Angela asked in the chat, what about cable or utility company debt? Will that stay on my credit report for 7 years in Connecticut?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
So definitely dispute the file because if it's on your credit report, that means it was sold to collections. So yes, it will stay on there for 7 to 10 years. So you want to work to get it off.
And then she also asked, is Credit Karma the same as CreditWise?
Yes, they use the same mathematics system, which is Vantage 3.0.
Jasmine asked, how long do debts remain on your report?
Debt stays on your credit report. Negative debt stays on your credit report for 7 to 10 years before it automatically falls off. Inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years before they automatically fall off.
And Kevin asked, is Apple Rewards Barclays credit a universal credit card?
Yes, it is. The Apple Card is a universal card. You can use it anywhere.
Brianna asked, can you refer universal credit cards?
Universal credit cards means any type of credit card that you can use anywhere. So Visa, MasterCard, American Express, those branded type of cards. So your credit unions, I always tell people, go to credit unions first to build up your credit. Don't get caught up in the name brands of credit. So the name brands of credit, the only time it's relevant is the rewards that they give to you. So Amex, I have an Amex Platinum card. They gave me great rewards for traveling. So I spend money on it. I get points. I use it to get on planes for free or cheap. I save money there, or for different hotels. But to start up, use credit unions to start to build up your credit. Those are universal credit cards.
Zuleika asked, I have a collection on my credit report that was sold to a collector. I spoke with the original place where it says I have the collection and was told that they would send me a fraud package. The package was never sent to me, and then I received a letter that said I was responsible for the collection. However, I still haven't spoke to the collections agency where it was sold to. Am I able to still dispute it and not be responsible for it?
Yes, you are able to dispute it. I cannot say out my mouth that you are not responsible for the debt. I won't say that out loud. You are responsible for any debt that you have. But when it gets sold to a collection agency, then we could play with words, because you technically do not. But yes, you can dispute it because it has been sold. Now, when you are working on your credit report, there's a 25% chance that collections will pop back up. Why? Say for instance, you had $1,000 collection. You successfully got it off your credit report, and they see that. You know what they're going to do? They're going to sell that piece of paper to someone else. So they'll send it. Remember, they bought it for $100. They probably sell it to somebody else for $200. So they made 100% return on their money. So they're happy. But that new person is going to reinsert it on your credit report. The only way to 100% ensure that it doesn't come back is to pay it off. But it's a small percentage. A lot of people just gamble, just fighting to get collections off.
Zuleika also asked, if student loan debts are closed and you still haven't made student loan payments, does that mean I don't have to pay them, or they just are stuck on the 6-month grace period before beginning to make payments?
You always owe the debt that you signed for. I'm gonna say that out loud again because this is being recorded. Number 2, student loan debt is the only debt in the United States that is not forgivable. You will always owe it, especially if it's federal debt. The government's not forgiving you for the money. If you go into bankruptcy and you owe $30,000 in debt to the government and $1 million in debt to the other to your car company, your house, they'll forgive all of it in a bankruptcy. You still owe the $30,000 to the government. Now, what you owe and what's on your credit report is 2 different things. I get student loans off all the time. Doesn't mean you don't owe it. It's just not negatively impacting your credit report anymore. We only work on closed accounts. So if you have a closed account on your credit report, the student loan that has a bunch of late payments, we're definitely going to work to dispute to get it off, right? Same rules apply. So you got to prove that it belongs to me, right? We're able to get it off, but you still owe the debt.
Kevin is asking, do paid auto loans remain on the credit report?
Yes, they do.
And Sharif said, if an account is closed, can you pay it off? And if paid, will it be removed?
So you have an account, you closed it, you still owe the debt, and you're paying on it. Yeah, you can pay on it, but paying on something doesn't remove it from your credit report. That's not how it works. Remember, your credit report is just a story. So the story doesn't go away just because you paid it off. It tells a story. You opened it on this date, you owed this much money, you paid it on time, you were late here, you closed it on this date. When it was closed, you paid it off. It just tells a story. So no, paying off anything does not remove it from your credit report. Fighting to dispute it gets it off your credit report, or the 7 to 10 years gets it off your credit report.
All right. Marianne is asking, what recommendations would you give with 5 credit cards with high credit card balances, no late payments, but high balance, which is dropping my score?
So you have to pay it off, right? So that is what it is. You have to pay it off. I recommend going to a credit union is one place you can go to and ask for a personal loan to pay off the credit cards. Because right now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to move money around to save money. So say for instance, you're $10,000 in debt. Go to one credit union. Hey, can I get a $5,000 loan? Go to another credit union. Hey, can I get a $5,000 personal loan? And then pay down the credit card debt. That'll increase your credit scores because now the debt is gone, and you're saving money because the interest rate is gone from a credit card is probably 20%. A loan is probably 6 to 9%. And now you have freed up these credit cards, right? And I just taught you how to put a couple of people on it every 45 to 60 days and make some money so that you can pay off the loan.
Okay, Angela is asking, what if the bills were paid, i.e. the cable and utility bills? Can I challenge the collection company to remove them?
Yes, you can challenge the credit bureaus, not the owner of the debt. So you're gonna write, when I send you guys letters, you're sending letters to the 3 credit bureaus. Another thing that I say, and I'll say this on camera, right? If you have a collection, 9 times out of 10, don't pay it. Because I just told you, you don't owe them the money. That's number one. And whether or not you pay it or not, the negative item stays on your credit report. So if I owe T-Mobile $500, and if I give them the $500, the debt's not coming off, why am I paying the collection then? I might as well pay a credit report agency to fix it for me, to dispute it, to get it off, because there's a result for that 500, right? I get 500 to the collection agency, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm just out 500 bucks. I pay somebody to fix it for me, it comes off, my credit score goes up. The only time I say pay a collection is, hey, I'll pay this collection if you remove it from my credit report. And you have to pay it in full for them to even do that. And when they say they'll do that, you have to get it in writing, because they'll say anything to get the money. Tell them, send me a letter, put it in writing, and I'll pay you.
Great. Brianna is asking, is there a fee to join a credit union?
9 times out of 10, there isn't. They just require you to keep $5 in your savings account. So that's about it. But there's no fee. Banks are usually free, relatively speaking.
Marissa is asking, what if a credit company from 2006 says you have a card at an address that you didn't live at since you were 19, and you give them proof you haven't lived there? Now they want to take you to court, and the court granted them the money, but the only proof they have on their end is the voter's registration from when you were 18.
So you definitely have to go to court. That's number one. And then you're armed with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The judge is going to make a decision on whether or not that is sufficient evidence to prove that you live there. Voter registration is not enough proof to prove that I live there. Utility bills prove that I live somewhere. Rental contracts prove that I live somewhere. My driver's license proves where I live. And you're going to arm yourself with that information. So like call the utility company and have them write you a letter stating, hey, we've never had an account with somebody living at this address. Water bill, gas bill, electricity bill, something. Saying that, no, this person has never lived there. You have your address. You can even have your credit report if you didn't clean up your credit history on your credit report, right? And then bring your credit report also. Here's my credit report. Here's my driver's license. Here's letters from utility bills. I've never lived at that address.
Devana's asking, what utilities help build credit?
None. Utility bills do not help you build credit. Credit cards, car notes, student loans, mortgages, those are the things that help build credit. Cell phone companies and utility bills do not report to your credit report unless they go to collections.
Jasmine's asking, would you recommend self-lender to build credit?
Yes, I would recommend that. That's another starter account that can help in addition to My Jewelers Club, a trade line, things like that. Yes.
Nicole's asking, can you use one credit card to pay off another one? And does it make sense to do so?
Yes, you can do that if it makes sense. Dollars make sense. So you have a you have a $5,000 credit card, right? $2,000 balance on it. The interest rate is 20%. But you went to Navy Federal, they gave you a $10,000 credit card and it's a zero balance for the first 8 months. Guess what you should be doing? You should be telling Navy Federal to please send Capital One $2,000. And now Navy Federal has that 2,000 on their credit report, and you want to put as much dent into 2,000 as much as you can over the next 6 months because it's 0% interest. So if it makes sense, yes, definitely do that.
Okay.
It's called a balance transfer.
All right. And Kevin said, are credit union accounts better? Checking and credit lines.
Yes. Yes, I can more confidently say yes, because credit unions, number one, they give you more money in relations to Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, these larger banks. Their rates are usually better also. Remember, money is money. If it comes from Amex or if it comes from the credit union, it's $10,000. You can use it everywhere. So go to the place that'll give it to you a lot easier.
Okay. Nina asked, my debt ratio is very high. How should I go about getting it down?
So I think we talked about that before. Number one, you just have to pay it off. So whether it's getting a second job, whether it's taking a personal loan or home equity loan to pay it off, I can get into something a little bit more complex. So I'm gonna entertain you guys here. Another way I teach my clients. So this has to go into taxes. It's a little bit more complex, right? So on your W-2, I don't believe in tax refunds. Here's why I don't believe in tax refunds. So you're giving the government $4,000 a year, 0% interest. Would they give you that type of money, 0% interest? No, they wouldn't. So why are you giving it to the government? And then you take that $4,000 and then you go to Cabo with it and you get a refund and it's a present. No, you just gave somebody money for a year and for interest free. So I adjust my W-2s. Well, I don't work anymore. But when I did work, I adjusted my W-2 so it's net zero. I want all of my money. So when I adjusted my W-2s, I went from I got probably extra $200-300 a month in my paycheck, right? That $200-300, guess where it's going? I'm putting it on top of the car note to pay it down faster. I'm using that cash to pay down credit cards faster. So instead of paying $30 a month minimum on one card, I'm paying $330 a month. So it kills the debt very quickly. Now that debt is paid off in 4 months instead of 10. I got that extra $330 now. Now I put that $330 on the $100 minimum I was paying on another credit card. So now it's $430 on that one credit card just because I adjusted my W-2s. That's a more complex way. Definitely talk to your tax professional.
All right. Any last remaining questions from the staff before we sign off for the day?
So seeing none, I'm going to assume there's no more. First of all, Herman, I got to thank you for making this happen. I do not take for granted your time. And, you and I talk enough to know how important time is and what you're doing for your clients. I, on behalf of everybody on the screen and those who will be watching later on, thank you for sharing with us the information you shared. And I hope that everyone on the screen, staff, students, everyone in between, I hope that you found value in what was shared. I know that some of you are in some tight situations and you're taking this program with Career Resources to try to put yourself and your family in a better situation. And getting a job is something that we can help you with. This is what this team is here for. But many of you, students past, present, and future, have been and are struggling and suffering in silence because you feel like you're stuck due to your credit situation. Many of you have put yourself in situations or found yourself in situations where family members, loved ones, spouses, friends have taken full advantage of you, and you just didn't know what recourse you have or had. My hope, my sincere hope, is that you learned something from Herman today that gives you a reason to have hope that this is not over. We will help you get over the hump from a employment perspective. This is what this team is here for. But we did this session, and Herman has been gracious enough to take time out of his busy day to share with us insight into how you can personally improve your credit, whether it's for personal reasons, spiritual reasons, business reasons. And what he didn't talk about is that some employers look at your credit to determine your hireability, to determine if you are a trustworthy individual to work at a particular location or office or with a certain clientele. And so what he is sharing with you is beyond money. It's beyond financial advancement. It's beyond you having extra money to spend on a pair of shoes, a house, a car. All that stuff is great, but it's about the freedom that you're chasing after. And I hope that you guys are letting this sink in. It's about freedom. If you feel trapped, if you feel like every employers aren't looking at you and taking you seriously, what Herman laid down, and I don't know if he said this or not because I've been in and out, but what he laid down is the foundation for how some of you, if you got it in you, can start a business today. And I'm not just talking about the quick nuggets he dropped here and there. There's a lot more to the story he did not share because that is a totally different service that he provides. But if you feel called, inspired to start a business, he dropped enough knowledge in this session to get you started. And so, Herman, on behalf of this team and our clients, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And I don't know if you realize how much you blessed us, but thank you.
Absolutely. Dr. Clark, thank you for giving me your platform. I always appreciate when leaders allow me to speak to their team members. So I definitely appreciate that. I know some people asked for my information. I did drop it in the chat, 609-832-3552. That is my office line. My team would more than love to help anybody that needs any type of assessment with credit. And also I put in our email address, info@bellasloanenterprises.com. Thank you so much, Dr. Clark and Nat, for facilitating this. I truly appreciate it. Amazing questions today, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.